Wow. It's time to talk about Loki.
No.
Season 2, episode 1. I gotta say, out front, absolutely enjoyed this episode. Had a lot of fun.
It was quick-paced, fun,
I think it continues to show that it is the best Disney Plus MCU project. I would say,
it's the first one to receive a second season.
In my opinion, I think it's the best one. It's such a fun episode. It's such a fun show. I really enjoyed it, and I wish there was a second episode. I was hooked. I was interested.
Yeah, I would like to do like a 2 or 3 season, the Ke Huy Quan. Obviously, I grew up with him in movies and stuff, but he was
so damn
great.
good in this episode.
So good. His whole the way they explain it, like the whole
who's
roundabout.
On first fucking.
Oh my god,
dude!
Yeah,
the
brilliant.
whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, yes. It feels like what it was setting out to be in the first place, and that is like, okay, this is going to be how they figure out how to make all this Kang shit makes sense.
Yeah.
And that is what this show is, and that's the thing. This show knows what it is. Because in that first season is it introducing you to the idea of A, the multiverse, and B,
variants.
Like all the variant idea, and then C, He Who Remains. We're not calling him Kang. We're not calling him
I still don't think they've called it
the Egyptian one. I'm not calling
Ramatut.
him Ramatut. We're not calling him fucking Iron Lad. We're not doing that.
The Iron
yet. Victor Timely, Victor Timely's going to show up in this.
There's the Scarlet Centurion and Immortus is another one of his names or characterizations. Yeah, I still don't think they've used the word or the name Kang.
Quantumania was the only one.
Yeah, that's the only one. Loki, he is if you're taking it at face value, you should as a viewer understand that Kang in Quantumania is not He Who Remains in Loki. They are variants of the same character, but they're not the same.
And that's what I want to point out, where I think
And the acting by Jonathan Majors points that out too.
I want to make a point here.
Yeah.
I thought that it introduced Kang better than Quantumania does. However, I agree with what you said earlier. That is a lesser Kang.
Yeah.
And when you start to view it that way, I think you'll tend to enjoy the movie more. Because while that movie is building him up to be serious as this threat, all it's doing is planting the seeds for what is to come.
Yeah.
Like, he gets beaten by ants. So that's not the same as He Who Remains, and that's also not the same as who Loki is afraid of.
I'd wager to say He Who Remains is actually more powerful, much more powerful than the Kang.
He's the one who held it all together, and he says, "You kill me, you let him free." And that's what I think was so interesting with how Loki approaches him, because there's fear. He's introduced in that's the only
the entire first season is trying to get to him.
But that's the common theme, right? That's the only common theme amongst these variants. There is a threatening presence about them. Where
they still don't know.
They might not be the strongest version, but every version he's smart. Every version you know what I mean?
They still don't know that Sylvie killed him. For sure.
Nobody knows.
They don't know
she
that.
Kicked him out the door. We kicked Loki out of the door
before she did. So they don't. They know they see the consequences of it. They can probably maybe assume that she did because that's what he said would happen, and Loki is there to watch it. Yeah, what a brilliant show. And what's her name? X-15. She was in that We Own This City
She's also
limited
in
series.
Lovecraft Country.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I like her a lot. She's a great actress. Yeah, I just thought it was a good. It was what was it, Judge Gamble and General Drix or something? The two people they were talking to try to convince them not to go.
Yeah, the whole episode was great.
I thought so.
What I really thought was interesting, did you notice this? The temporal loom.
Huh?
The temporal loom, like the thing.
What about it?
The hook that they used to pull Loki with the time skipping or time slipping, which again I thought was done really well.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like especially with the whole describing where the temporal loom is. He's like, I don't know where that is. I don't have one of those. He goes, but you will though, because I'm from the future. And he said something like to that effect. He's like, well, you haven't had that conversation yet.
Right.
You're having it right now.
Yeah, and then they skip back to anyway. But what now?
But the temporal loom is the same device that Kang uses in Quantum Mania to try and get out of the quantum realm. It's what Owen Wilson uses, Mobius uses to pull Loki into their timeline.
Right, yeah.
It's the same device. And
you're talking about the oral...
The thing he used for a ship.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But the temporal loom is all the timelines being, weaved together.
Sorry, but the thing that they use
it's
is the same
oral,
thing.
timeline oral disc pass something. I know exactly what you're talking. Yeah, it's the
name.
thing that he hooks up to the
ship
at the end.
In Quantum Mania. I'm like, there we go. Now we're starting to get some connectivity, because you know how Phase 4 felt so disjointed. Now we're starting to see, okay, Loki is doing what it set out to do. It's patching this together and building up this thing of this is all going to be connected again. And I think it's smart to do. You could argue what they could have done next with their big bad, but I think having it be Secret War, having it being the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a smart move, because now you're just showing how you could do a presence with an overlooming threat, but have different versions, and you can tell. It's an interesting time.
Can I also
say, what's so funny? A few months ago, I was down on this shit and I didn't want to watch it anymore, and then it just took a good episode of Loki to be like, all right, I'm back in.
Well, they're talking about real consequences, and one thing that the MCU has really done a shitty job of, for the most part, is killing off their really compelling villains. But there are also people who talk about real consequences for these characters. If these characters always survive, or if they come back from the dead, then there's no real consequence.
It's watching these movies as TV.
Hey, motherfuckers.
It's watching these movies as TV.
That's exactly what happens in the comic books.
Yes.
So you know what? I don't need to see a Kang Dynasty or a Secret Wars where anybody dies for good, unless they're rebooting that character.
Come back all the time.
Unless they're rebooting that character. Other than that, I don't need to see okay, I think it's good that Iron Man was the only one who died besides Black Widow.
And Steve just got old.
I think those are okay decisions, right?
Fine.
I'm glad that a lot of them didn't get killed.
It's okay that
because everybody was expecting a whole slaughter.
I'm okay with Clint living with his family. He doesn't need to die.
He's retired.
He redeemed himself.
Yeah,
he was in a really dark place.
We can stop seeing Thor now.
I liked Love and Thunder, and I'll defend it. I don't care.
Well, next week on
Off Panel Off Topic, we fucking fight.
We fight about movies that we don't like. Off Panel Off Topic with Jake and Tyler.